we have a pure and an impure function that do exactly the same thing. But, when called in parallel, they return the same value the first time, but on the second call, their results are different. How is that possible? Let's find out why. There are two significant differences between pure and impure functions that can lead to performance issues or unexpected results. Let me show you a simple example I have prepared. We start with an event begin play, which creates a HUD to display the results. This is a very basic user widget that simply shows the outputs of the two functions we are calling. Next, we have the getFirstGun function, which retrieves the gun actor from the game world and returns the first entry. In the game world, we have a player spawn point and the BP_pickup_rifle, which we access using getFirstGun. This allows us to calculate the distance between the player and the rifle. Now let us get to the core of this video. Here we have the impure_calculate distance to target function. It takes a target actor as input, which in our case is the rifle in the game world. This function retrieves the locations of both the rifle and the player, uses the distance node to calculate the distance, divides the result by 100 to convert it to meters, and returns it as distance meters. The pure_calculate distance to target function does exactly the same thing. The only difference is that it is a pure function. By pressing the F key, we trigger the action that calls getFirstGun to retrieve the rifle. The first impulse is then fired to calculate the distance between the player and the rifle. After that, we call the updateWidget function, which displays the results of both the pure and impure functions on the HUD. We then wait for 2 seconds and call updateWidget again, which once more invokes both the pure and impure functions to calculate the distance and display the results on the HUD. After another 2-second delay, we repeat the process. Now, let us take a closer look at what happens. Press play to start the game. Press F to trigger the action. The initial distance is 8.6 meters for both functions. While the 2-second delay is running, we move a bit forward. During the next 2-second delay, we move forward again. We can see that both functions do not produce the same result, even though they perform the exact same task. Why is that? This is the first significant difference between pure and impure functions. An impure function returns the result and caches it. When the result is queried again, the function itself is not re-executed, but instead, the cached result is returned. For a pure function, it works completely differently. The pure function is called again and again to recalculate the result. Later in the video, we will demonstrate this with a for-each loop, showing how it can lead to serious problems if pure functions are used incorrectly. To make this even clearer, we connect the pin of the pure function to the pin of the impure function and run the game again. We press F and move forward every 2 seconds. We notice that it always returns 8.6 meters, as the result is cached. Now we connect both calls to the pure function instead. Press play again, trigger it with F, and repeat the process. The first value is 8.6 meters, but the following results update correctly, because the pure function recalculates the value every time without caching. Now, let me show you another issue that can cause performance problems. Here, we have the impure getAllGuns function. It retrieves all rifle actors from the world. There is only one rifle in our world, but that detail is irrelevant. The function outputs a string indicating that the impure function was called and returns an array containing all rifles. We also have the same function as a pure function, which performs the same task but outputs a string indicating that the pure function was called now. When we press the G key, the pure function retrieves all rifles and processes them with a for-each loop. After that, it calculates the distance, but that part is not important for this example. The focus here is on the for-each loop. We start the game and press the G key once. This time, we focus on the print string output. Each time we press the G key, the impure function is called and it outputs the corresponding string. So far, everything works as expected. Now we use the getAllGuns pure function as input for the for-each loop and disconnect the execution pins of the getAllGuns impure function so it is no longer executed. When we press play and hit the G key, we see that the string from the pure function is displayed 4 times. This means the pure function is being called 4 times for a single for-each iteration. Imagine the pure function returns 10 rifle actors. This would result in 40 calls in our scenario. Why is this happening? This behavior is caused by the architecture of the for-each loop. For every iteration, the loop accesses the array twice, once using the get node and once using the length node. Each access calls the pure function twice. Additionally, The array element pin causes another 2 calls to the function because we access it twice in our example. This results in a total of 4 calls to the getAllGuns pure function for a single iteration. To mitigate this issue, we can store the result of the pure function in a variable and then pass that variable to the for each loop. Let us try this now. We start the game again, press the G key, and observe that the pure function is called only once, as we are using the stored intermediate result. The basic principles of pure and impure functions can be summarized as follows. Pure functions are predictable and rely solely on their input values. They have no side effects, meaning they do not modify the game state or depend on it. This makes them ideal for calculations and logic that should always produce the same result for the same input. However, every time their output is needed, they are re-executed. This can lead to performance issues if they are used repeatedly in loops or heavy calculations without caching the result. Impure functions, on the other hand, can interact with and modify the game state. They are executed only when explicitly called, and their results are cached until the function is triggered again. This makes them suitable for operations that rely on the game state or need to perform actions like spawning objects or changing variables. The key takeaway is this. Pure functions are best for static, repeatable logic, while impure functions are better suited for tasks that involve dynamic game state changes or interactions. Understanding this distinction helps you use them efficiently in your projects. I hope I was able to help you.